Joining us now is Gentile. He's the CEO of a local security firm. And Mr. Gentile, thank you for joining us today to make some sense of what went on today. I know that you've spent many years in the state police. You worked for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, very high-ranking police official. What's the most important thing people need to know about what went on at the school today, and what kind of product that you have to install in a school to make this happen never again?
Well, I think we're looking at a couple things. First of all, you know, most schools aren't as fortunate to be within such close proximity to so many professional police departments as this school district was. You know, throughout Western Pennsylvania, we have a national reputation of being able to work together and of being able to respond quickly. What would have happened had this situation been in a district where there were not so many police departments within close proximity? There are some school districts where it takes maybe 15 or 20 minutes to respond to a call. And even more importantly, what would have happened if there were another serious incident at the same time occurring 10 miles away, and some of these police departments and ambulances were tied up in that incident as well? So the protocol that we embrace has two primary components to it. One of them is communication. You know, not virtually, every incident in every school situation where there was a stabbing or a shooting, someone knew about it. Either there was a situation where that person didn't feel it was serious enough to be able to report it, or they reported it and it wasn't taken seriously. So this communication, there has to be a culture within the school, so that even if children were aware of it and they didn't think it was very serious, they still have to have the courage to be able to report it and let that threat assessment team in that school take care of it. The other component is that everyone in a school building, whether it be a school building, whether it be the station, or whether it be a corporate office, everyone should have a role, not as a first responder, as an initial responder. As evidenced in this situation, the police responded magnificently. You can get no better of a response. But they responded subsequent to the carnage taking place. As a result of that, you know, we have to have a better training for everyone within that facility to be able to take some action, even if that action is no action, to be able to do something productive, do it systematically, and everyone have that role as an initial responder.
You know, Lou, we talk so much about the adults in this situation, whether it be, you know, the corporate officials or the school officials, or it's security folks who are hired to protect the students and everybody at the school. How about breaking it down and teaching the students how to be safe? Do you subscribe to the same philosophy that a lot of people do? It's that run, hide, and fight philosophy, where obviously if you see something, you're a child, if you see something, get out of the danger, try to, you know, isolate yourself from it. But if you're thrust into the middle of it to take action, how do you feel about that?
There's no one. How I feel about it is any expert in the country will tell you that there is no one specific program that works. It has to be an assimilation of a number of programs. Everything depends on the architecture of that school, the dynamics of the school, and quite frankly, the demographics of the school. You know, there are certain protocols and procedures that would work in a school that has a high, you know, a population of a certain caliber of teacher who may not have an aversion to confronting a violent offender. There may be schools that are absolutely architecturally designed to be able to if you can't run, and you can't fight, you can hide. But there is no single program that works, and there is no single program that can be applied to any school with a blueprint. That has to be done individually, ad hoc, for every situation.
Lou, you've been watching our coverage for the better part of the past hour or so. You know a lot of details through social media, through our coverage. You're advising the parents in Franklin Regional tonight. What message do you have for them? They have a lot of questions tonight.
Absolutely.
My advice to the parents would be to wait and wait until the facts come out. You know, no one who is responsible right now can criticize or really legitimately critique what happened. We know without question. We know one thing. We know that the emergency responders responded magnificently. We know that. You know, what happened internally, whether or not that child, you know, related that information to someone else, whether or not there was a misstep, I mean, that's for the professionals to find out. And I'm sure once they do some self-examination, they will find out and hopefully remedy the problem. But I will tell you, you know, there are programs in this country that everyone should be aware of. For example, there's a program in Colorado called Safe to Tell. And it was propagated by a fellow by the name of John Michael Keyes, who lost his daughter in a school shooting. and he started a foundation called I Love You Guys. And that was the last text message that she sent to him. And in Colorado, they passed legislation where a child is guaranteed anonymity if that child gives a text message to a central repository of law enforcement, psychologists, and social workers, and they immediately respond and intervene with that child then without being labeled as a snitch or being bullied. If we would embrace simple things such as this and promote such programs such as that, possibly, maybe possibly, someone who received that phone call from that child who evidently was absolutely tormented, very possibly someone could have texted that message into a central repository, alerted someone, and intervened at 7 o'clock in the morning before that kid walked into school.
So simple and yet so important. Lou Gentile, thank you so much for sharing your advice with us today. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
There'll be a lot more to talk